Hello students, welcome to iExamB and embrace the iExamB learning experience. Students, do remember to subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon so that you can stay tuned, stay updated and prepare 50% faster for your exams with us at iExamB. And अगर आपको कोई भी questions or queries or कोई भी doubt आप clarify करना चाहते हो, you can connect with us through the email ID or the phone number which is displayed on the screen. So stay tuned and stay updated. Today in this video, we'll be discussing a very important aspect with respect to Companies Act, and that is the role of independent directors in private companies. So first of all, we will be looking onto the aspect of who independent directors are, a very brief overview with respect to that, and what exact role they play in a private company. We'll be looking onto that aspect also. But before we move ahead with that, let me give you a reminder over here with respect to the free workshop which we are going to have today with our expert faculties, where we will be covering the Companies Act with respect to various competitive law exams. So today is 7th of March, Thursday, and at 8 p.m. we'll be meeting you. So in case आप में से किसी ने भी chance miss कर दिया है इस opportunity को to get yourself registered for this particular workshop, you can go ahead and do the same because the registration link is there in the description of this video. So you can register now also. You have time before 8 p.m. You can do the registration and attend this particular free workshop which we are exclusively conducting to clear all your doubts with respect to the Companies Act preparation for the various exams. Now moving on to with our discussion for today. So why are the independent directors very important in the context of private companies, given that the private companies have the option to basically go ahead and appoint the independent directors or not to appoint. So they have the option because Companies Act does not mandatorily provide for the appointment of independent directors in a private company. So before we move ahead with that, we'll be first looking on to what an independent director is. ये जो independent director का concept है वो होता क्या है? Just a brief idea if I give you of that, we can say that independent directors, they are the very individuals who are there on the board of a company जिनका की कोई भी material आप कह लो या pecuniary relationship नहीं होता है company के साथ, उसके management, subsidiaries and promoters के साथ. That is very important role which is there of the independent directors. The word itself is suggesting independence should be there with respect to these directors. Okay, they are basically expected to go ahead and provide unbiased and objective judgment with respect to corporate affairs. Then that their decision should be in the best interest of the company and the stakeholders, and that should be towards contributing to improve the corporate governance practices. So they are, we can say, a watchdog. Okay, a very easy word you can say, which is obviously not there in the Companies Act, but for understanding we can consider them as a watchdog who is keeping constant check on the activities of the company. So independent directors, they play a very crucial role in providing the oversight, especially in the context of decision making process where conflict of interest and all may arise, and otherwise also. So as I mentioned, in India, private limited companies, they have the option, they are not obliged to go ahead and appoint independent directors, so they have a choice you can say, yet their appointment is very important, very crucial for a very sound corporate governance. Okay, that is very important. The role they play is very important, whether be it any type of company. So if we talk in the context of private companies, they can go ahead and choose to appoint independent directors voluntary, so they can do that on a voluntary basis. That basically you can say shows their very commitment towards having a strong governance practice and all. So that is the very, you can say, role which independent directors has in a company. And our Companies Act also talks about independent directors and their role and all in the company. Okay, so section 149 of the Companies Act specifically talks about the listed companies and certain other type of public companies to have independent directors in their board and all. As I already mentioned, for private companies this is optional, but they can voluntarily go ahead and choose to appoint independent directors. In that particular case, they will be actually following whatever compliances, requirements, provisions are there with respect to independent directors under this particular section. So if we talk about the qualification and criteria, like the public companies, the independent directors of the private companies, they are also required to meet certain qualifications which are there under this particular section. Okay. That basically you can say overall includes integrity, expertise and independence from management, which is very crucial with respect to their appointment. There are certain roles and responsibilities which independent directors have in a private company, and that is by and large similar to that of the public companies, wherein they have to have an unbiased judgment. They have to oversee the governance practices and ensure that they safeguard the shareholders' interest. So these are the, you can say, overall role and responsibility which these independent directors have to play in a company. Then if we talk about the tenure and rotation, independent directors of the private companies, they also typically serve for a fixed term. That can be as per their articles of association also, and that is basically offering more flexibility, you can say, in comparison to public companies, wherein the term of independent directors is on the rotational basis, rotational requirement that is there. So these are some of the important aspects which have been covered under this particular section with respect to independent directors under the Companies Act. Now we'll be moving on to BEJUs, which is in news nowadays. We'll be focusing on to the aspect of the composition of the board of directors, the proposed one which has come up. If we look on to the composition of the BEJUs board of directors, earlier there were number of directors. If we talk about, we were founders, group companies, there were none. Then shareholders, they were representing 3 and 1 was independent directors, so total was 7. Now the proposed one after the EGM and all, it is 1 from the founder, 2 from the group companies, the executive from the group companies, then 3 from shareholders, 3 is independent director, totaling to 9. So you can see now they are going ahead and proposing to have 3 independent directors, which shows that although BEJUs being a private company, they are not mandated by law to have required to fulfill the requirements as per section 149 of the Companies Act with respect to independent directors, but they are going ahead and proposing so in order to have more higher standards of corporate governance, so as to take care of the recent happenings which it is going through. So you can see how the role of independent directors is crucial in any company, be it a public or a private, because that adds to the independence of the board of directors. They bring diverse expertise perspectives to the boardroom that ensures that critical decisions they will be made with careful considerations of various stakeholders' interest and all. Then there will be obviously impartial judgment, and the oversight which these independent directors will be providing will be contributing significantly to maintaining the integrity within the company's operations and all, and the decision making process. How important the role of independent directors is, be it a private company or a public, we have seen that. And in the context of the private companies, taking the example of BEJUs, we have seen that how important that is. As I have already mentioned, that BEJUs has gone ahead and voluntarily proposed to appoint 3 independent directors, that is aligning with the regulatory or you can say the various compliances guidelines that are given under the Companies Act, which basically demonstrates their very commitment to the best governance practices they are looking forth in the future. So with this, we come to an end of our today's discussion. If you have any questions, queries, any doubt, you can go ahead and connect with us. We'll be helping you out with those. Stay tuned, stay updated, and prepare 50% faster with us at iXambi.